I'm going to share. Okay, so right now you should all see my page that says Rotary Opportunities. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so we're talking about Rotary outside the club. If we ran our club, could we do everything we want, just our club alone? If we wanted to? So that's a question for the participants.
See, I would think that, yes, we could if we had the resources available to do everything.
Right. And that's really kind of the answer I'm heading for is sure we could. And some clubs really kind of do that. They just kind of do their thing and they don't really get too interested in working with others. But it makes life more interesting, more opportunities if we do work with others. So that's what we're talking about here. So in this page, we say we're going to provide an overview of RI's structured programs. We'll talk about the term structured. It says we're going to discuss the benefits of a global networking group and discuss each program's relation to Rotary's goals and to the Rotary experience. So let's get down here to the first question. What are Rotary International's structured programs? So I'll turn this over to the participants. What do you think are the structured programs of Rotary?
Well, I know we have some students every year that participate in RILA.
Okay, that's a good one. That's one of them.
Well, then that would mean Rotaract, maybe?
Rotaract is one. Okay, so you're starting to get the drift. So what we're going to do today is talk about the programs of Rotary. Rotary doesn't necessarily try to run all of your club activities, but there are key ones they get involved in and really try to give structure to, like that word structure. So let's talk through. This is in your material, so I'll just put it up here. Interact. So I guess let's see how much do y'all know about Interact? Who has an Interact club?
I hadn't heard of it before tonight.
You haven't? Okay, great. Then we're right on target. Gail, how about you?
We don't.
Okay, or Thomas?
We don't, but I've heard of it.
Okay, what do you know so far about it?
Well, I know one of them, between Interact and Rotaract, one of them is a college student group and the other one is a high school student group. I'm not sure which one's which.
And the answer is Interact is the high school one.
Interact is the high school?
Interact is high school, yes. And Rotaract, we'll talk about it in just a minute. So it sounds like none of you have experience. So I may even ask our facilitators to jump in with comments if you have any. Jeff, do you guys have an Interact club?
We had an Interact club a few years ago. One of our club members, Bill Rothweiler, his wife Barbara is the principal at one of our high schools here, and we had an Interact club at that high school.
Okay. And how big was your Interact club?
I don't know. That was right around the time that I joined is when it ended, and the reason it ended is because the teacher who the school had identified to kind of sponsor the club left or retired or something, and there wasn't another teacher to kind of pick that up. So as I understood it, without having a sponsor at the school, it's really hard to keep an Interact club going.
Actually, I think that's one of the key points I was going to head towards. Interact can be very fulfilling for a club, but a key is one thing you need is a sponsor at the school. You need them to kind of keep the club kids going in the right direction. As much as anything, if you want your Interact club to span more than 1 year. What do you think can happen to an Interact club year to year?
Jesse, I got a question first, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
I don't know what it's called locally here, but in Carlsbad, we bring in 2 or 3 students every meeting or every other meeting. I'm not sure if it's something formal or we just invite kids from the local two or three high schools to come visit us. But is this sort of a precursor to starting up an Interact at the high school, or is this just liaisoning with the community kind of thing?
Actually, it could be whichever you want it to be. I mean, these could be students you're working with, or they could be the foundation of an Interact club. And I think that's what you could be talking to them about, is see, are they really into the whole service above self theme? Are they into doing that? Are they into service project? Do they like Rotary? And if so, you could encourage them to do their own Interact club at their high school, and they could become the nucleus of it. So since y'all don't know a lot, often these are discussions, but since y'all don't know, a couple of key things you need is a high school. You need the sponsor. The sponsor can be an advisor, a teacher, but generally you need somebody at the school. We had one that was a band director. One is currently locally as our cheerleading coach at the school. But you need a key person there, and you need a Rotarian in your club that wants to work with them and be the liaison to keep it going. So those are key things, but to answer your question, it sounds like you're just dealing with a few, but it would be a great opportunity to encourage them to form their own club. And then they have their own meetings, but they can work with you.
Well, the other thing I was going to mention, and I don't know if there's official name for it, but 2 or 3 of our local members are involved with international student exchanges, and those students often come to the Rotary meetings at least once a month while they're here for their 6 or 9 months. But it seems like they take Rotary back to their country and then interact with those parents again. So I'm not sure if that's a formal process either, or just informal here.
Actually, it is a formal process, and we're going to look at it in just a minute.
Okay.
But it's a different formal process. Those are dealing with international students. Interact is dealing with just high school students in our community. So think of this. Do you ever have a project where you could use some more manpower?
Every day.
Yes.
And have fun with it, too. Have fun getting to know the students. So that's Interact.
And they have a lot of energy.
What?
They have a lot of energy.
They do. They come and paint our float in our parade and work on other projects. It's very common. Rotaract. So I think y'all said y'all don't have Rotaract clubs. They're really the counterpart at a college level. Now, has anybody heard of a community Rotaract club? Okay, Interact clubs are typically with one high school. Rotaract clubs very often are at one university. But let's say you're in a town that doesn't have a major university, or maybe is so big you have many. You can form a community Rotaract club that's not tied to a school. But these are typically college age people that want to be in Rotary. And they can work with you. So I'm going to keep moving down. Rotary Community Corps is something for enlisting Rotarian people in the community to help. I'm going to kind of skip it. We don't really do it here in our district. How about the next one there? Rotary Friendship Exchange. Can y'all tell me about that? Does anybody have experience there?
Now that's when you host families from other locations, right?
It is, yes.
So we've done that. That is fun and interesting too.
So maybe for the others, tell us what was your structure? How did that go?
Okay, well, our group was from Louisiana, and we had arranged for the week. We took them to Southwest Cheese Plant, see how, which is the largest in the world, by the way, now. So they got to see how the cheese is made and all of that process. Took them out to Cannon, the Air Force Base. They got to tour that and learn a little bit more about what our special ops guys are doing. They went to a few different businesses in town as well, where some of our Rotarians hosted them, and we had a dinner one night with our whole club and the Friendship Exchange folks also. I'm trying to think what else. There were some things that they went on that I didn't go, so I'm not sure but they had a week of all kinds of stuff that they were doing.
So what you're describing is fairly typical. A group comes often from another part of the country or another country, and just like you'll host them in your homes, so they're not paying room and board. Very typically, they'll eat breakfast or something with you. But when you eat out, you may pay or you may not. That's all up to everybody. And you just show them whatever's cool. So like the cheese factory is a great idea. It can be Rotary stuff. When I was in the group that went up to British Columbia, we saw both museums that they were tied to. We went to Rotary hall meetings. We went to things they had built. Just a variety of things. And some of it's just literally fun fellowship sightseeing. And how many days did you host somebody in your home?
I didn't host anybody in my home because I have one bed in the whole house, but okay. I'm trying to think how long. It seems like it was 5 days.
Well, I'm surprised. That's a little long. Typical is about 3 days in any given city.
Okay, and it could be that it was 3 days. We just did so much, it felt like it was longer than that.
Right. So there's several opportunities. There's, I believe, 3 opportunities this year for hosting. And I think there's a couple outbound. There's currently a group in South Africa. Mm-hmm. There's a group coming from British Columbia in April. So, an opportunity. Great opportunity.
Yeah, we're hosting them again. We're hosting some again.
Great.
Getting some later. I'm not sure when, but yeah. And Lonnie's going to lead it. He's going to lead the team.
Okay, cool.
Jesse, a quick question. We received, our president received I think it was an email from the regional group that they wanted us to start establishing liaisons out to the community for younger people, and they were willing to sort of co-fund the process. I don't know where our latest vote would be, but would this be under one of these areas here?
It could be. I mean, it could be done. Particularly of these programs we're going to talk about here, the most likely would be Interact or Rotaract.
Right, because I think they're trying to improve the age, the age level, get some more younger blood into the group. So I think they're trying to fund some, networking activities, some, picnics, things that the young people would like to do, and also get them interested in the community give back that Rotary tends to do. So.
It sounds like a great opportunity to see if you could get an Interact club together. And if not, you could just, structure activities in your club.
Well, and it was a young professionals thing. It wasn't just really college-age students. It was more like the young professional.
So if it's young professional, it could go either one of 2 ways. You could be forming a Rotaract club, or you could actually try and bring them into your club.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what the co-funding was all about. Everybody realizes we're an aging organization,
So I'm going to jump to that term structured programs real quickly because all the things we're talking about here, except one, actually have a pretty well-defined structure. So all of these things you can go to Rotary and find out more information about. And I'm going to give you a search hint, and I want you all to write this down. I've done it in the other sessions. But if you ever want to find out something on Rotary, don't go use their search feature because it's pretty bad. Go to Google type the following: site, SITE, colon, rotary.org, and then whatever you want after it. So you can, after that, put, say the words Rotary Friendship Exchange. What that will do is it will find, Google will find all the files on the Rotary International site about Friendship Exchange. It's a great way to find the best information about Rotary. So some good ideas there. So Friendship Exchange, Rotary Youth Exchange. I think you said, let's see, William, you have a exchange student?
Well, one or two of our members, the local pharmacist, he seems to bring over one exchange student per year, and organizes that with Rotary, so that the student sees the community activities that Rotary does, as well as other community things. So I think he takes it upon himself to include the student in Rotary activities. But this student just came back because he's going to go to flight school over here in Phoenix or someplace.
So these, it sounds like these may actually be exchange students through another program.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, but he does mesh it very well with Rotary, because the student just, he brings stuff back and forth because he comes back and visits even though his year's over. So he really loved what Rotary did. Now, I don't know the exact formal relationship.
I think what would be good for you to do would be to talk to our youth exchange committee in Rotary and see if your club might actually host somebody and work with this person.
Well, Dan, the guy I'm telling you about, Danny, he's the local pharmacist. He's a former president of Rotary, so I'm pretty sure he knows all the details.
Oh, okay.
I'm just not sure what it's called locally here, or whether it's formal or informal, but I know he's very active in this process.
Well, if it's part of Rotary, it's very formal.
Okay.
And Rotary wants to protect Rotarians. They want to protect the youth. So that's one of the reasons we have these very structured. Have you all ever heard a reference to youth protection in Rotary?
No.
Would that be when we ask people to do security background checks if we're going to be working closely with kids?
Yes. So y'all have been doing that, right?
Yeah, like when we've had to do things with RILA and driving them, things like that.
Okay, then that's a great example. RILA, everything in Rotary that involves youth requires youth protection, and particularly exchange programs. So it's very formalized, but very, very rewarding. So it sounds like you've had somebody at RILA. That's our next topic here.
Yeah, we've sent a couple of students for the past few years.
Okay. William, how about you? Have you sent any?
I believe that's a very active program here. I think we send 2 or 3 from Carlsbad High School and 2 students from Loving High School each year.
Okay, cool. Thomas, how about you?
Yeah, we send. I think it's has not been as consistent in Tucumcari because of just finding students to go. I think we've had a lot of luck with females, but we have a couple that are going this year for sure.
Okay. Well, then y'all have already been in, so I'm not going to talk much about RILA except to encourage you to, and I'll follow up on your comment there. We generally fill up the girls' camp, the boys' camp. We don't get as full, so if you could find more boys, that would be great.
We have the same problem. We have a hard time getting the boys. And what's happened the past couple of years too is because we plan to sponsor a boy and a girl, but we don't get any male applicants, so we end up sending 2 girls instead. So maybe we could talk, I don't know, ideas on how we get guys excited about this, because we have the students come back to the club and share with us their experience and what they thought of it, and these young people love it.
That's right. And that's kind of what got me inspired. I'm a counselor there, and I've kept hearing all these great stories from the kids, and I thought, I got to go do this. But to answer your question, I'm trying to think what's the best forum to help you with that question. I think I may pass this on to Kerry Beamstover. He is head of RILA in the district. He's in my club, so I see him quite often. But I think we struggle with it. It's not just your clubs. The whole district struggles with filling the boys' camp.
Has it been that way for quite a while, Jesse?
It has. I've been involved for 6 years now, and I think ever since I've been involved, the boys' camp has been smaller than the girls. And it's the girls is almost completely full or over full, and the boys typically are 60, 70. We could have as many as I think 110, but I think last year we had about 68.
Something that we talked about starting this year to try and get more people interested in applying for the RILA program is having 2 of our board members go to the schools and get out in front of the classes to actually tell them about the program and have them understand it. Because I think that when it's passed through people, it may lose some of its potency, if you will, by the time it might reach the kid.
That's right. Another thing might be how you sell it. Does everybody understand what level of student we're targeting?
8th grade?
Between junior and senior of high school. But I'm particularly thinking, what kind of kids are we looking for?
Achievers?
Achievers. We're really looking for the true achievers, for the top leaders in the school, and we want to help them become better leaders. So there's a couple of things you could do to sell it. You could sell it on this really is for the top, very top students and try and find them. Also, when you see the word RILA, what does the A stand for in RILA? Rotary Youth Leadership
Academy?
Award.
Award.
It is a scholarship. And that's another thing is point out to the kids, there's a group willing to pay $600 your entry fee into a leadership program. So there's some ways to sell it maybe.
And I knew it was high school, by the way, Jesse. I was thinking of the RILA four-way test or the 4-way test thing for 8th graders.
Right.
That's what I was thinking of.
So let's see. So those programs right there are kind of the core of the structured programs of Rotary, where we started this. And the key word of structured is that they have a structure, they have defined standards and approach. And I apologize, I don't know how to mute my phone. It'll stop in a minute. I could pick it up and hang up quickly. There we go. So let's go on. So those are the structured programs of Rotary. They have a couple of other things that are programs. They don't call them structured programs. You see this thing here called fellowships. Have any of you been in a fellowship? Do you know what any of them are? Let's kind of go down to this next page here. And these are a list of Rotary fellowships. Let me say, these are not all fellowships. This is just a sample. So how would you characterize these?
Avocational.
Avocational, yeah. They're fun. Is there anything in there that appeals to you?
I'm looking for hiking.
Hiking, okay.
They're in alphabetical order. It doesn't appear to be here.
It doesn't appear to be. There's canoeing. But let me suggest this. I'm sure there is one. This is just a sample. And if there wasn't one already, maybe you could start it. So think of these. Are these things you could get involved in?
Well, Jesse, you got me a little confused. Are these local opportunities, or are these regional? Or, for example, a lot of these things we offer through our community college and public education and things.
Great question. So let me give you a couple of examples because a good friend of mine is in a couple. He's in the RV recreational vehicle one. There are a group of people all over the U.S. that have RVs, and they just decide, oh, we're going to go up to Washington State and have a big event. So they all take their RVs up to Washington State and have a good old time. Right? They had one in Death Valley. They had them in the Midwest. There's another one. See, it's not even listed here. It's international travel. It's a group of people that like international travel, and they're all planning to go on a tour of Korea either right before or after the international conference this year. So did that kind of answer your question? It's not local. These are open to all Rotarians globally.
Well, I must tell you, I don't think we market them. We don't market them here as being available. So maybe I should talk to our newsletter guy and make him aware of this, because I never heard of this before tonight.
Okay, good. Then you're learning something about Rotary. That's the point of this session.
Yep.
So, do you see anything there that you'd like to be involved in? Let's take hiking. You mentioned hiking. Do you think you could join the hiking one and make something of that? Gail, you're muted.
You know there's not a lot of hiking around Clovis, right? So I would love
Clovis falling up, but okay, I'll take your word for it.
there's no hiking around Clovis. So it would be great, though, to travel and fellowship with fellow Rotarians doing some of these different activities.
Yes. Now you've got exactly the idea. People you know what they're about, that share a common interest.
Mm-hmm.
So, could any of this be turned into a club project?
Seems like you could find a way to do something with it.
Yeah. Maybe there could be an event you could hold and actually have it as a fundraiser or just a Rotary event and actually make it part of your club activity to bring people into your community.
Jesse?
Yes.
I am pretty sure that the golf fellowship is going to be in our district this year.
Oh, really? Going to do an event?
I'm pretty sure. I believe the Rio Rancho Sunrise Club is involved in that. So I think we're going to be hosting Rotarians who are in that golf fellowship. I'm not sure of the dates and the logistics, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be hosting that. So
keep me notified. I'd be interested. Maybe I should just go join the golf fellowship. I've been thinking about doing some of these myself. I think these sound cool. So we've got a few more minutes. So there's opportunities for us individually, or there could be opportunities as a club. Here's wine. One of our clubs holds a wine and food festival. They could maybe even get Rotary involved. Okay, here's another program. So we're kind of coming to the end of the programs of Rotary. We talked about the structured ones. These are called Rotary Action Groups. And again, this is not comprehensive. Tell me what you see in these that's different than the fellowships.
Well, these are very specifically related to helping others and doing things to improve the community.
Right. So these are things you could individually join. You could connect to as a club. How could your club make use of one of these? Take a look at those and just think for a couple of minutes. Where might your club fit one of these into a project of yours? I'll actually let you read over it and think about that. And then tell me, where could your club tie into one of these to help help your club activities or find an opportunity.
Well, Jesse, I know a couple times a year we go down and we set up booths at like the local markets for the polio initiative to wipe polio out. Perhaps if we had some folks locally here who had survived polio or some associate Z, say how difficult it was for them and make a program out of it, take that out to the community, maybe put a forum together, I think we'd be much better fundraising, because nowadays when people think polio, they don't think U.S. anymore. They think outside of U.S. But there are polio survivors in the U.S.
No, and that's a great idea. So this one right here, if you're not doing that right, if you're doing that kind of activity, you could join this group. Maybe they would come join your activity. You could join a larger activity. Maybe they have ideas on how to run your event. So if you're doing that kind of thing, there's opportunities.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Meshing something on this list with something that we try to do as initiative. We just weren't aware. Again, I'm not aware of some of these things even existed till tonight. So.
And great. We're reaching the right audience tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, Thomas. Can't see you, but do you see anything there?
Well, I mean, we do some of the things with the polio as well, in terms of going to our county fair and setting up a booth and sitting outside the local grocery store. It's interesting. The last one on that list is water and sanitation, and we have our whole state, and specifically in my area, we're just coming out of a drought, but we could do some things that would educate folks on better use of water or better conservation of water, those sort of things.
And do you think contacting this group might help you?
Yeah, because they could probably provide us with some collateral material that would be inexpensive or possibly free.
Okay, cool. Gail, any thoughts for your club?
Well, yeah, a few of them. I didn't know anything about this either, but this would be because we want to do some international projects, but we really don't have the wherewithal to do them by ourselves, or don't feel like we do. But to identify one of these groups where we could, well, as an example, when we went down to Belize and we delivered the water filters to the villages out there, that
Yes.
would have been under the water and sanitation. That would have been very advantageous to utilize that. Literacy programs, taking books to some of these other countries that maybe don't have a lot of reading, or to help them learn the English language and things like that. What a great resource.
Yes. Let me jump to another subject that we covered in I'm sorry, did you have something there, William?
Yeah, I'm just looking down the list of things here. Locally, one of the things we have a hard time doing is attracting members from our local hospital and healthcare area. And I see we have a health education and wellness. I'm just wondering if there's a way to mesh that with a membership drive, as well as a public forum for in other words, mesh a lot of these things together to not only drive membership, but also drive community education, as well as some of these forums, these action group things. That's what I'm thinking in the back of my mind here.
Absolutely. You're on the right track. Let me go back to our Foundation 1 and Foundation 2 talks in sessions 1 and 2. Do y'all now have an understanding of what global grants are? So what are tell me a couple of characteristics of global grants.
Well, it has to be for something international.
Yes.
It has to involve a club there and a club here, or some organization there and here. It can't
Exactly.
just be us.
Yes.
It has to be sustainable.
Yeah.
Sustainable, that's good.
And it can't be bricks and mortar. It has to be sort of like a service or a improved environment kind of thing.
Okay, so you guys have been studying well. There's one of the key characteristics.
We had Jeff as an instructor, I think, didn't we, on that one?
Probably Dom.
Oh,
Good job, Don.
Yeah, as a matter of fact,
Is it the dollar amount, Jesse, that you're talking about?
I'm thinking about your focus. What does the subject have to be?
One of the areas of service.
Right. There's a predefined set of areas of focus. Do those areas look at all like things on here?
Yeah.
So, if you're thinking about a matching grant, might there be resources in this list?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
These are opportunities.
Yep.
So, I think I'm kind of wrapped up. We're a little bit early, but I'll leave you with one thing. I think I'd like to see all the students walk away from these classes with an idea that they're going to do something with it. So your homework is to go talk to your club about something we've talked about that could help your club. We've talked about several of them, but actually it sounds to me from your responses like this list right here that we're talking about strikes a chord with many of you. So that is your homework. Jeff, I'm going to turn it back to you.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Jesse.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks, Jeff.